I would like, on behalf of Islamic Centre of England, congratulating you in the birth anniversary of Lady of Heaven, Lady of Light, Fatimah Zahra, Salamullah alayha. And also, as you know, in Islamic calendar, this day is nominated as a Women's Day or Mother's Day. So very, very happy Mother's Day to all lovers of Bibi Fatimah Zahra, Salamullah alayha. Inshallah, we will be having Sheikh Hojjat al-Muslimin, Sheikh Mirza Abbas in English lecture. So please show your love and appreciation with the loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبله وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وأجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. And also our greetings and felicitations to Imam of our time on this auspicious occasion of the birth of Sediqeh Kubra Fatimah Zahra Salamullah alayha, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. With the permission of my senior scholars, my mentors, with the permission of my elders and my dear brothers and sisters, in the few minutes that we have, we would like to reflect a bit upon the personality of Sediqeh Kubra, and we would like to take a lesson from her life. First and foremost, her being a female, which reflects the whole phenomena of femininity, which itself is very mysterious. Feminine reality is a very mysterious reality, and perhaps that's what makes men to fully comprehend what woman is or what women are. So the reality of femininity is a very mysterious reality. And perhaps this could be the very reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have utilized this feminine reality as the medium, as the vehicle to place a very unique, special secret of His. That's why when we recite, we say, Bi Fatimata wa abiha wa ba'aliha, for the sake of Fatima and the father and the husband and the children, and also wa sirr, and for the sake of that secret that resides in her. This secret, this mysterious reality, have been pronounced by this narration that it resides in Fatima. And Fatima is the prototype of all female women. Not only that, but she is the prototype of all of humanity indeed, because the 12th Imam, he himself says that she is my role model. Fatima is the role model. The femininity and the masculinity is limited to this physical world. When we transverse this physical world, when it comes to those high spiritual values, there's no such thing as male and female as such. That's why the sunnah of Rasulullah, which is a male person, is considered as sunnah for male and female both. Because on the higher level, on the metaphysical level, there is no physical reality as such. That's why good is good. Good is not male, good is not female. Truthfulness is truthfulness regardless of any gender as such. However, here in this case, we find that Allah have utilized and used a female to place His secret. So therefore, oh my dear sisters, know your value. Your value is that you are the source of that secret by being a female. And Sayyida Fatima Salamullahi alayha represents you in that case. So, to reflect upon, to discuss in regards to her, from the very first step, it becomes difficult because she's a female. The second thing is that she lived such a short life. And even in this short life, there's very little of her being known. There are only 2 sermons of her. And these 2 sermons, according to all of our scholars, balances out the whole of Nahjul Balagha. All sermons of Amirul Mu'mineen. It's so powerful. This clearly reflects that. So now let's go on a journey in order to just reflect a bit upon her, because we will not be able to fully comprehend who she is. Because as it says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ, as we are unable to comprehend what Laylatul Qadr is. Why? Once again, you have the element of night. Night is Layla, which is once again have that feminine aspect to it. Night, once again, have that mysterious reality because it's dark, it's unknown, not like day, right? So she's been compared to the night of Qadr. The same way as we say, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا فَاطِمَةٌ. It will be very difficult to comprehend, but we'll try to understand. First and foremost is the Quran to reflect upon. There are 4 things usually that we could look into a person's personality to learn about that person. First, for us being a Muslim, the most valuable book of all is the Quran. Then are the sayings of the Prophet and of Masumeen alayhi salam in regards to her. Thirdly is how she herself have spoken about her, who she is. Fourthly and finally is while reflecting upon what the scholars have talked about, what the scholars have mentioned. We are extremely honored and thankful for Hojjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Sayyid Jalali, that he honored us by delivering, by informing us in regards to her personality and from the point of view of the Noor and her understanding about it. So through the speeches, teachings and writings of learned scholars, we will be able to have some understanding of her. As we have very little amount of time, very briefly, the Quran. When we look at the Quran, as we find that, as Ayatollah Jawad Amali also points out to, the Quran is nothing but the actions of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, then the ayah will be revealed to the Prophet. Or the actions of Ahl Bayt are the manifestation of the Quran. What the Quran is saying, the Ahl Bayt act exactly according to the Quran. So the actions of Ahl Bayt becomes the Quran, and the actions of Ahl Bayt are from the Quran. For example, Amirul Mu'mineen was giving the ring in the ruku. When he gives the ring in the ruku, that becomes the verse which is called Innama waliyakumullah wa rasulih. First he gives the ring in the ruku, and the ayah comes. In the similar token, in the similar fashion, you have the chapter of Dahr, Surah Dahr, Hal ata ala al-insan. That chapter is revealed when Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha acted. How she acted? She gave things in charity. Then these verses were revealed in the Quran. So this points out to the value and importance of her action. It's so powerful, it's so strong, that Allah is sending a verse in regards to her action, is in a way introducing her. When Prophet shoots, as the Quran says, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. When Prophet shoots an arrow, Allah says it's not the Prophet who is shooting, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is. When Ali is given a ring in the ruku, Allah is establishing, is stamping upon the action of Ali. إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ. Certainly and certainly there is no wali but him who have acted in this fashion. On the same token, you have the action of Sediqeh Taherah. Just in the margin, another way and another methodology that one can use in order to reflect or write a paper, write an essay, do a research upon her personality is to look at her life before her birth. That even before she was born, she was tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The whole chapter of Surah Kawthar, Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. What is that? It is in regards to her, but even before she was born, she's been mentioned. There are so many number of narrations that we find in regards to, just now we spoke about the Nur of Fatima. Where is that? This is even before she was born we are talking about, right? So you have an investigation from the point of view of before she was born, while she was in the womb of the mother, she would speak to Khadija salamullah alayha. The Quran. This is once again before she was born. Then after she was born, during her life, right? And when she comes out in public, that's another way of looking at her based upon the speeches, based upon the traditions that we have and her actions. Then after she dies, after she is martyred, what's her position in the hereafter? Fatima is named Fatima because she will be standing at the door of the heaven, of the hell, stopping the lovers of Ahl Bayt alayhi salam from entering it. That is after she died. There's another way of looking at it. However, just look at what we have chosen tonight very briefly. The Quran, there are 135 verses in the Quran which talks about her magnanimity, which talks about her beauty, which talks about her courage, which talks about her personality. 135 verses. Surah Dahar itself is there. Surah Kawthar is there. The Mubahala is there. Mubahala. The Innama Yuridullah. Surah Ahzab, chapter 33, verse 33 is there. And look at this here. When we would like to give us some value, we say, you know what, I'm from the family of, I don't know, some great man, masalan. You know, I'm from the family of Sistani, you know, he's my uncle. I take that name and introduce myself because, you know, I want to, you know, give some value, right? Or if you want to introduce someone that we don't know, you know, that friend of mine is actually a relative of this person who is well known, right? But look at how Allah is introducing when this verse 33 is revealed, right? Allah says, who is under the kisa? It is Fatima. It doesn't say it is Rasul and the daughter of Rasul and the son-in-law of Rasul and the grandchildren of Rasul. It says this is Fatima wa abiha, and it's the father wa ba'aleha wa baniha. Allah uses her to introduce others. What does this really show? This points out to who she is. What's her reality? She indeed was the criteria to discern between haqq and batil very clearly. Her sermons are very clear. The way she discerned things makes it very clear, black and white. It was her. Now, the Quran, as we said, number of verses are there. Now, let's look at very briefly in regards to what the Prophet have said in regards to her. Prophet would stand up, which hasn't become a sunnah of the Prophet, to stand up when daughter arrives. But only for her, the Prophet will stand up. Will not only just stand up, will walk towards her, will welcome her, and will bring her and put this place where he was sitting. This is how Prophet behaved. When it comes to that famous narration, which is very deep once again, لَوْلَاكَ لِمَا خَلَقْتُ الْأَفْلَاكَ. Why did the creation have been created? It is created because of Rasulullah. If it wasn't for the Prophet, the creation wouldn't have been created. Lawla Ali, if it wasn't for Ali, Rasul wouldn't have been created. Lawlak lama khalaqtul aflaq. If it wasn't for the Prophet, Lawla Ali, it wasn't for Ali, Prophet wouldn't be there. Then Lawla Fatima lama khalaqtukuma. If it wasn't for Fatima, both of you, Ali and Rasul, you wouldn't have been created. What does this mean? Needs a reflection. Her being Abiha, father, you are my mother. The Rasulullah is saying, you are my mother. What does this mean? Needs a reflection. Her being from the 11th Imam, very briefly. Nahnu Hujjaj Allah. We are the Hujjat for the creation, the Imams, the Masumin. The element of Hujjat, what makes it Hujjat itself, needs a reflection. What is Hujjat? Imam says, we are the Hujjat of Allah. And then he says, our Jadda, our grandmother is Hujjat for us. The way we are Hujjat for the creation, the grandmother is Hujjat for us, from the 11th Imam. Once again requires that reflection. And it's been mentioned by who? The Prophet mentioning it that way. Leave aside so many narrations and riwayat from the Masumin alayhi salam. Then the 11th Imam mentioning it that way, the last Imam. Very, very mysterious narration this is. And 11th Imam usually have given the most mysterious narrations ever, because he knew that there will be a major occultation which requires that source of spirituality and manaviyah. Those narrations comes from the 11th Imam. Not that it doesn't come from other Imams as well, but we find the 11th Imam to be very, protruding in regards to this issue. Finally, the scholars, when we look at it, as we don't have time, as a matter of fact, today is also coincides with the birth of Imam Khomeini, which is the very date of the birth of Fatima Zahra. Imam Khomeini and Fatima Zahra born on the same day. And once again, both of them made that very clear between haqq and batil in terms of their stance, right? So here, what did Imam Khomeini said? He says, I have looked at many narrations and riwayats in regards to her. But one of them, it really stands out. It really boggles my mind. This man who was an Arif himself, a mystic, he says, this riwayat is really strange. What is that? That is after the demise of the Prophet, Jibreel came to Fatima Zahra. The same way as Jibreel, who haven't come to deliver the verses of the scriptures to Moses or to Jesus, to other prophets. It is Rasulullah who have the capability and capacity and the heart to witness and see Jibreel. Or Maryam, as we find, for example, Hazrat Maryam is Jibreel. Not every Waliullah, saint of Allah, prophet of Allah, have the capability and capacity to see Jibreel. Prophet did. And after that, they say that Jibreel would come and visit Fatima. This has also been recorded in one of the Risala of the famous Sheikh al-Akbar, who's known as Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, the one who compiled mysticism. Muhyiddin ibn Arabi in his Risala says Jibreel would come to Fatima Zahra salamu alayha, would narrate the events that will unfold till Qiyamah. And Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib would write this, which is recorded in the book called Sahif Fatima. This is her. What is the lesson to be taken? on this journey of us is the lesson that she reached that level of spirituality, manaviya, and she became that role model. What is the foundation of that? The foundation of that is knowledge. That we have to increase in our knowledge and spirituality and manaviya. She's known as Zahra, illuminating, standing up at night for prayers. That's what we need to do. If we want to take her as a role model, we have to increase our knowledge, our understanding, our ma'rifah. Because she had that ma'rifat of wilayat. Al-yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum, right? She had that knowledge and understanding what wilayat means, what guardianship means. That's why she stood up. She knew the importance of imamat. That's why she stood up for that right, which was usurped. Right? She sacrificed her life for that because she had the ma'rifat of imamat and wilayat and risalat. Look how she introduces herself. She's in the khutbah. ثم قال, she says, أنا فاطمة بنت محمد. She makes it clear that I am the daughter of Fatima. She uses the word Fatima because they say, final note, final hadith, final understanding in this regard. Fatima comes from Fatim, which means to be cut off. Either she will cut off the lovers of Ahl Bayt from the hellfire, or they say it means that the creation, Ayatollah Saadat Parwar mentions this, Ayatollah Pahlawani, he was known as great scholar. It means that the creation is cut off from knowing her reality, who she was. That the creation is cut off to really know who she was. On a final note, thank you very much everyone. I once again congratulate you all on this auspicious occasion. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.